Welcome to This Week in Sanity. I'm John Watson. This is the first week of November, and today we're going to be talking about some electric vehicles. So, I've been doing a lot of research on various electric vehicles and electric personal transportation devices, and it's interesting that all of them seem to have some sort of problem. None of them are what we all want. It seems that we want, well, of course, it all. We want our vehicles to be fast, safe, able to go long distances, be purely electric, lots of things that we want out of it, and yet there is no way of doing all of that at once. So the vehicles seem to break down into three different distinct categories. The one is pretty well covered, is long-range car type vehicles, and Tesla is now doing a fantastic job at creating something that is going to be car-like, able to go long distances, not worry about range issues, useful in all weather situations, and be able to be deployed wherever you want. Very, very expensive still, especially if you're talking the Tesla. Looks like a beautiful vehicle. Other vehicles are coming up, of course, with the hybrids. They're not pure electric, but there are a lot of hybrid vehicles. This is a going market. Everybody kind of knows about that. So no more talk about that section. The next one is the medium range vehicles. So for the intermediary range of commuting. So don't really have to go further than 20 miles. Be able to be recharged quickly, easily off of like home power, something that is easily to plug in, but is a bit bigger vehicle. Can make it up to the 40-mile-an-hour range, because here in the U.S., other places maybe not, but here in the U.S., you really need to be able to go into the 40-mile-an-hour range consistently, easily. Most of your inner-city commutes, you're going to hit 35-mile-an-hour zones, and a few 45-mile-an-hour zones. If your vehicle can very comfortably hit 40, it can probably make that 45 and not slow down traffic too much, and it would be all right. Most little scooters on the gas side of the world, the Vespas and stuff, they can actually go that fast. They can be in that commuter section. They can't go on freeways, they can't go on highways, they can't go on the higher speed roads. But that's the quality we need for the electric commuter vehicle. And then we have our short-range vehicles. So short-range is just a personal product that someone can use so they don't have to walk as far. So they park at the mall, they don't want to walk all the way from the best park they could get, which is like a block away, and they have to walk to the mall and then in the mall and all that type of stuff. You want a personal commuting vehicle that is able to just be with you for that last mile, what they call the last mile commute, which is not really a commute. It's a way of moving around in lots of different ways. It's not a commute to a final destination, but a wandering vehicle, a way of moving around more comfortably when you're going to be covering more distance than you can comfortably do just straight walking. Though you could walk it. It's a mall. You could walk it, but you want something to be able to be out for a longer day, and of course us Americans aren't used to walking long distances anymore. So we have a couple of different technologies that I've seen that are very cool, but they seem to be trying to group those two sections into one, and they run into problems. So of course we have the Segway, and the Segway is a fantastic vehicle, but it's very, very expensive, and also it's very wide. You can't really use it in a lot of shopping malls. You can't take it onto, well, you can take it onto an elevator, but it will probably make everybody else kind of upset, because it takes a lot of room, and you don't want to get too close to it if you're not the one actually riding it. So that vehicle, kind of, it's good for that medium commute, but then it can't really go that far. It can, but not at the speeds we want to be able to go. It can't be on the road. It has to be beside the road. And it can go a long distance, but it's not something you really want to commute to work unless you live very, very, very close to work. So the Segway is nice, but again, it falls kind of outside both of those uses. A couple of other vehicles that I've seen, they have something called the Solo Wheel, and the Solo Wheel looks pretty cool. It is highly, highly maneuverable. It's a single wheel unicycle type thing. You 2 foot pads and a wheel, no seat. You stand on it and it goes forward and back, and then you balance side to side by twisting your body and just kind of riding it like a unicycle. Very, very cool. It can be around a lot of people because it doesn't take up a lot of space, and you're not in fear of running people over. Other people won't be freaked out by it. Also, it's very, very light. You can step off of it at a store or something, pick it up like a briefcase, and carry it with you, set it down at a dining table, eat at a restaurant, pick it back up, and be on your way. Very, very, very cool technology, but it's running at about $2,000. More than a lot of us want to spend on technology that really can't get you that far. It's just a really nice niche market. I've seen electric skateboards. Skateboards would be great, electric longboards. And these look really, really wonderful. Like these can work out really well. But the manufacturers, the kits that are out there, seem to, again, suffer from trying to be in both of the short range and moderate range fields at the same time. So the problem with the electric skateboard is if you want to go moderate distance, it's pretty good. It can go pretty fast, not on the street again, but like a Segway, it can get up to 20 miles an hour, 20-mile range, and be fairly comfortable. And if you get to where you're going, when you get to where you're going, you can pick it up, sling it on your back, not have to worry about having to chain it up. Its portability is fantastic. Some of these skateboards can go further and faster, and can actually go much faster than I would ever want to ride a skateboard. The downside is they're not quite fast enough to be that medium range transportation that we want. But they are good enough to get from the house to the bus stop, and you can pick it up and get on the bus, and so that's fantastic. But then once you get to where you're going, to use it in an urban congested area on like a sidewalk, I mean, how many times have you seen signs saying no skateboarding allowed? They're not as maneuverable as some of these other technologies, though they are cheaper. Not all of them. Some of them are actually quite expensive. Kind of surprising how expensive some of those can get if they're pre-built. And so we still run into the problem of those not being very good for that real short, urban, dense area, unlike the solo wheel would be. So that leaves one other piece of technology that just, it looks really, really fantastic. It's only a concept. As I was surfing around trying to find material for this, ran across it, and it's something that's based on Segway, but the wheels are divided. So you wear them on your feet like you would rollerblades. So you have this big wheel on the outside of each foot, and the frame goes up behind your legs and attaches so that the frame actually follows your legs. I don't know how they could make this work yet. Of course, it's strictly a concept design, doesn't actually exist in the real world. This one really excites me, though. It looks like it would be lightweight enough to fold all up, take off, fold all up, and be able to take onto an airport as carry-on luggage. But once you've strapped it on, it would be much easier to move around other people in tight spaces because it would work like walking. It wouldn't be like a Segway or a skateboard, which would be frowned upon. It would actually be your legs. It would be walking along just with wheels on them. And so if you lean forward while walking, you could get a little bit faster speed out of it. I would imagine that a concept like this would be able to actually walk upstairs and downstairs, depending on how they do the microcontrollers. So that is a concept that really, really looks interesting, and hopefully they'll create something along those lines. So we have these different markets of the vehicle, and the long-range vehicles are being researched, and they're doing really well. But the two other markets, we haven't quite found something that works for the medium-range small commuter vehicle, and then the long, or the really, really short range, just getting around the local area type vehicle. I would see this not only malls and personal transportation, but also if you work in like factories, Boeing, these factory floors that are quite large, but you have to make it from one end to the other. They're internal, and you don't want to be driving a vehicle. You can't have gasoline or anything, and you have to be able to step on and off of it fairly quickly so you can do your job and talk to people and get to meetings. So that type of transporter, where you do have to have some speed and ability, but not really range and not a lot of speed, but you do have to be around other people. Right now, the main problem with that, it seems to be the cost factor for all of the things that are coming up, all the concepts that are already out there that you can purchase. They're very, very expensive. So that's what I've found this week in the asylum. We'll continue thinking those deep thoughts.